Running Google Ads on a small budget isn't easy, but it is possible. In fact, there are a lot of advertisers who are incredibly successful with a small Google Ads budget. So in this video, I will share 10 tips and strategies I've learned over the years of managing small Google Ads accounts that will help you get the most out of your small budget. But first, is there a minimum budget that you need on Google Ads? While you can technically start with just a couple of dollars a day, the bare practical minimum that is usually recommended is 10 clicks per day at the bare minimum, which depending on your industry's average cost per click can vary a lot. But if, for example, your CPC is $2, then you need a bare minimum of $20 per day or $600 per month. At the same time, for Google's algorithm to optimize effectively, you need at least 30 conversions per month in your account, or on average, 1 conversion per day. If your cost per conversion is $50, then 50 times 30 is $1,500 per month. So there is definitely a minimum budget that you need on Google Ads. In our example, we need $600 as the bare minimum budget and $1,500 per month as the ideal minimum budget. With all that out of the way, let's get to the tips and strategies. Number 1. Use a consolidated account structure. One of the key considerations when running a Google Ads account with a small budget is to ensure that Google receives enough data to optimize and find your most profitable audience, keywords, headlines, ad variations, placements, and so on. However, with a small budget, the amount of data you can provide Google is limited. Therefore, you need to be very thoughtful about how you structure your account to avoid further segmenting your data across different campaigns, which would restrict the data Google can work with even more. You see, Google's conversion optimization happens at the campaign level. So if you split your account into too many different campaigns or portfolios of campaigns, you'll spread your budget too thin across all those campaigns, like butter spread over too much bread. As a result, each campaign will generate only a small amount of data because you're segmenting your already small budget, and this will prevent Google's algorithm from optimizing effectively. To succeed with a small budget, you should consolidate your data by running just 1 or 2 campaigns in your account. If you're in e-commerce, I recommend starting with a combination of search and shopping campaigns. And if you're in services, I recommend starting with just a single search campaign. These are the best campaign types to start with because, first of all, they cover high intent Google placements. Second, other popular campaign types like Performance Max rely on your data to find prospective customers, which, if you have a small budget, you're likely lacking. Third, with search and shopping, you have more control over your targeting and you get more data back from these campaign types for your further analysis and optimizations. Now, we've discussed your campaigns, but the same principle of consolidation applies to your ad groups as well. Google's recommendation is that each ad group should generate around 3,000 impressions per week for effective optimization. If you have too many ad groups, the data will again be spread too thin and the algorithm won't be able to optimize. Ideally, you should limit the number of ad groups to 3, 4, or 5 at most, depending on how small your budget is. A consolidated structure makes it easier for Google to optimize and allows you to gather meaningful data more quickly. Again, the same principle of consolidation also applies to your shopping products and the range of services or products that you're offering in your search campaigns. My recommendation is to focus on your top sellers and top margin products or services. This way, you won't be spreading your budget and data too thin across too many products or services. Let Google focus on a few core elements that are the most important for your business at the beginning when working with a small budget. Number 2, focus on your highest intent, exact, and phrase match keywords and avoid broad match keywords. The idea here is to have narrow targeting so that you can gather data quickly and figure out which search terms are driving conversions for you and which ones aren't. If you use broad match keywords, your targeting is going to be too broad. Your ads will appear for many different search terms, and as a result, individual search terms will get less data. When you have a small budget, more narrow targeting is better because it allows collecting data for individual search terms quicker. And the quicker you gather your data, the quicker you're able to make optimizations based on this incoming data. In addition, you should focus on the highest intent keywords, meaning putting your ads in front of people who are ready to purchase or become a lead, people who are already at the end of their discovery and decision-making phase. If you have a small budget, you want to focus your targeting on those types of keywords and avoid keywords or audiences with more informational or research-based intent. If you have historical data in your account, make sure you focus on the keywords that have historically brought you the best cost per conversion or conversion value to cost. This ensures you're not wasting your limited budget on low return keywords. Number 3, avoid high CPC keywords. When doing your keyword research in Google Keyword Planner, pay attention to the expected top of page bid on both high and low ends. You will see that some keywords are more expensive than others, and this happens because Google Ads is an auction-based platform where advertisers are bidding up the keywords that they find most valuable. You will notice that keywords with higher purchase intent will have higher CPCs. However, with a small budget, you'll have to find a balance between targeting high intent keywords, but also avoiding keywords with extremely high CPCs relative to your other keywords. And the reason, again, is a limited amount of data that you get when you work with a small budget. If you target keywords that have extremely expensive clicks, you're going to get much fewer clicks in general, meaning less data for your campaigns, your ads, your landing page optimizations, and so on and so on. However, I don't want to steer you towards deliberately targeting the keywords with lowest CPCs in order to drive as much cheap traffic as possible. Usually the cheapest clicks are also the lowest quality clicks. So if you base your strategy around the cheapest keywords, you will be driving the lowest quality traffic to your website. It's really about the balance between cost, quality, and quantity. Number 4, take advantage of pinning your headlines. Since Google only allows responsive search ads now, it's important to carefully manage how your headlines are shown, especially with a small budget. When you don't have enough data, Google's algorithm won't be able to effectively test all the different headline combinations, which can work against you if you're trying to optimize on limited budget. To address this, limit the number of variations Google can test by pinning key headlines to specific positions. For example, pin headlines with your top search terms to position 1 and use unique selling points or strong call to action in position 2. You can add a few extra headlines for Google to test in other positions, but keep it limited. This approach gives you more control over how your ads are displayed and improves your chances of finding the winning combinations faster. Also, avoid adding all 15 headlines in responsive search ads when working with a small budget for the same reason. The more variations you add, the harder it is for Google to gather enough data to optimize effectively. Instead, focus on 7 to 10 strong, targeted headlines that align with your core message and high intent search terms. This will help you achieve faster and more consistent results. Number 5, use pre-qualifiers in your ads. Using pre-qualifiers in your ads is a smart way to filter out low-quality leads or traffic, which is especially important when working with a small budget. If you serve different types of customers, you want to make sure that you're only attracting the most valuable ones. For example, you can include a starting price, a minimum company size, or a specific service criteria in your ad copy. This helps prevent clicks from people who are unlikely to convert, which saves you money and helps you allocate your limited budget more effectively. Since Google charges you for every click, disqualifying low-value leads in your ads helps conserve your budget. If your product or service starts at $100 per month, mentioning that in your ad will help to filter out people looking for cheaper options, which reduces wasted clicks and ensures your budget is spent on high-quality prospects only. Similarly, if you work only with businesses of a certain size, specifying that in an ad copy will ensure you're not wasting your clicks on leads that you don't want. The goal is to focus your budget on high-intent prospects who are more likely to convert instead of focusing on unqualified traffic that will only drain your budget. Number 6. Be aggressive with underperforming elements. Be more aggressive with optimizing your campaigns with a small budget. If certain keywords, products, or ads aren't performing well, don't hesitate to cut them quickly. When you have limited funds, you need to be bold about eliminating underperforming elements so that your budget is concentrated on the most profitable opportunities. If a keyword or a product is breaking even or showing inconsistent results, it's better to remove it and focus on what's driving the highest return. Number 7. Narrow down to top performing demographics and locations. In most cases, I wouldn't recommend narrowing your demographics when using a conversion-focused bidding strategy like maximize conversions or maximize conversion value. However, when you're working with a small budget, you may need to make these strategic adjustments. If you know from business experience that certain demographics or locations consistently bring you higher quality customers, go ahead and restrict your targeting to these demographics. For example, if your data shows that a specific age group or geographic region drives better conversion rates and higher average order value, focus your budget there. This approach will help you maximize your return on ad spend and avoid wasting budget on underperforming customer segments. Number 8. Take advantage of retargeting. Once you get consistent traffic, meaning a couple of hundred visitors per day for at least a few weeks, you should start setting up retargeting campaigns. Retargeting helps you stay top of mind with people who have already shown interest in your business, making them your most valuable warm audience. Start by setting up a display campaign in Google Ads and consider running retargeting campaigns on Facebook and Instagram as well, unless you're in B2B. If you have an email or subscriber list or a customer list and you want to drive repeat purchases, you can also upload these lists to Google Ads and Meta and add them to your retargeting campaigns as well. Since you're limited on budget, I wouldn't recommend adding more platforms other than Google, Facebook, and Instagram. In total, your retargeting should take up around 5 to 10% of your total ad spend. This will ensure that you are re-engaging your website visitors without overextending your budget. Number 9, make sure you're using the right bidding strategy. We've already briefly touched on bidding strategy and traffic quality, but it's worth emphasizing how critical it is when working with a small budget. When your goal is conversions, meaning sales or leads, you need to steer Google in that direction and focus on conversion-focused, smart bidding strategies like maximize conversions or maximize conversion value, so that you can start figuring out what actually converts. Yes, other bidding strategies like maximize clicks, for example, will bring in more traffic at lower cost, but the conversion rates and quality of that traffic will be much lower. If you already have some conversion history in your account, you should launch your campaigns with maximize conversions or maximize conversion value from the very beginning. If you're working with a brand new account and you have zero conversion history, starting with maximize clicks can be acceptable to generate some initial data. However, once you start gathering conversion data consistently, transition to maximize conversions, and eventually your goal should be to upgrade to target CPA or target ROAS beating strategies. Number 10, your goal is to see a positive dynamic month over month so that you can grow your budget eventually. If your goal is to eventually grow from a small budget account to a high budget account, then this will only happen if you consistently improve not just your Google Ads account, but also other areas of your business. This means optimizing your landing pages, improving your customer journey, and increasing customer retention. For example, use exit surveys and customer interviews to understand why some people are buying and why some aren't converting. If you're in e-commerce, take advantage of abandoned cart emails and exit intent pop-ups to capture leads before they leave your site. You should also test upsells, cross-sells, post-purchase offers, and retention offers. Once a customer has made a purchase, it's much easier to get them to buy again or increase their order value instead of finding a new customer. Try offering a related product or an upgrade immediately after checkout, or set an automated follow-up sequence with a special offer to drive repeat purchases. These strategies will help you maximize your customer lifetime value and increase the overall profitability of your advertising campaigns. Your findings from Google Ads should inform your broader marketing strategy and vice versa. If you're a marketer, encourage and help your clients to improve all aspects of their business. And if you're a business owner, don't just sit back and wait for Google Ads to magically grow your business. Success will come from consistently analyzing your data, testing new strategies, and refining your approach. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.